There are no shortcuts to getting highly coveted press coverage for your brand, only smart cuts like the DIY PR project. Learn how to grow your brand's credibility with PR on a budget with me by your side. This program is your all-in-one membership with expert training, customizable templates, and a supportive community to cheer you on every step of the way. Join us and start growing your business with free publicity today. Sign up now at diy-pr.com. Time is money. All right, my friends, we've all heard that saying, right? But as entrepreneurs, time isn't just money. Time is everything. The clock ticks whether we're working, resting, planning, and the reality is that we can't create more time. But what we can do is use the time we have wisely. Welcome back to Grow Your Wealth. I'm Rena Goodwin, and today we're tackling a big question. How can we maximize our time so that we're not just productive, but also present in our lives and our work? If you've ever felt like your to-do list is running your life instead of the other way around, you're in the right place. As a business owner, mom, and someone who's navigated burnout, or I should say navigating burnout, I know firsthand how easy it is to feel overwhelmed. But I've learned that the key to time management is not about doing more or, God forbid, multitasking. It's about doing what matters most and doing that efficiently. So today we're diving into tools and strategies that can help you reclaim your time, backed by insights and research to give you a fresh perspective. Let's start with something that we've all been guilty of. Like I said, multitasking. Research from Stanford University shows that multitasking actually reduces productivity by as much as 40%. It's not just inefficient, it's also mentally draining. Our brains are not wired to handle multiple high-focus tasks at once. And when we try, we're more likely to make mistakes or feel scattered. So what is the solution? Ding, 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 single tasking. Focus on one thing at a time and give it your full attention before moving on to the next thing. It sounds simple and obvious, but it's incredibly powerful when we put it to use, yet so many of us neglect to do this. At Factor PR, my PR agency, we've adopted a few key practices to streamline our time and maximize our efficiency. So much so that my teammates have said that compared to other agencies that they've worked at, we run the ship super, super efficient. One of my favorite things to do, and it has been a game changer, quite frankly, is batching our client meetings. So Mondays are our client meeting days. Research from UC Berkeley shows that grouping similar tasks together, like these client meetings, really back to back, enhances our focus and it reduces cognitive fatigue. So this means that we can dedicate the rest of the week to deep work like pitching and strategizing, creating content, and so forth. So Mondays, back-to-back client meetings. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays look like pitching, strategizing, etc. too. Fridays, reporting. Another major game changer for us has been time blocking. Time blocking is a strategy where you divide your day into chunks and assign specific tasks to those chunks of time. So for example, I might dedicate the first 2 hours of my day to creative work like writing or brainstorming, and then the next block to client meetings or admin tasks if it's, Monday, Friday, depending on what day of the week it is. But my brain likes to work in the mornings. That's when I like to record this podcast as well too. It's just key to treat these blocks of time as non-negotiable appointments because when you respect your schedule, others will too. One other tool that's been instrumental to me to help me stick to my time blocks is, of course, my digital calendar. I use Google Calendar religiously. I'm one of those people that color codes the different categories of the tasks to see at a glance where my time is going. But I don't just time block for work. I will time block for family stuff, for exercise, for breaks. Like if I want to take a walk in the middle of the day, that's also been super helpful for me because just having that white space, as I've talked about on previous episodes, to be able to think, to be able to really kind of strategize or look at my longer term plans in my head is so, so important. This is not optional, right? It's really essential as entrepreneurs to have some of that white space to just think. So speaking of thinking, speaking of rest, I want to also touch on something else that's really important too, and that is our attention spans as well. I am so guilty of powering through, like literally in quotation marks, powering through my day without taking a lot of breaks. That was the old me. The new me takes a few breaks, and it makes all the difference, not just for my mental health and in terms of burnout, but my quality of work is better too. And research promotes this as well. Studies show that the average adult's attention span is around 20 minutes when we are deeply focused. You may have heard of something called the Pomodoro technique. This method involves working in short, focused bursts, like around 25 minutes, followed by a quick 5-minute break. And after 4 Pomodoro cycles, you can take a longer break, like 15 to 30 minutes. And not only does this give you, or I should say, this helps you stay focused, but these breaks actually improve productivity by giving your brain a chance to reset. So I've found the Pomodoro technique to be especially helpful for tasks that feel overwhelming or tedious, things that you're just kind of like pushing aside because you really, really don't want to do them because in your head you think, oh my God, it's going to take me like 4 hours to do. But if we break it up, you might find that having shorter focused time bursts to work on what it is that you want to work on not only helps keep you energized, but you might actually find, like I have a few times, it never took me 4 hours to begin with too, because the time that I am committing is way more focused and therefore way more productive. Speaking of tools, let's talk about Asana. This is my favorite project management tool. It has been with us since day one at Factor PR almost 9 years ago. And here is why I love it. Asana helps us keep track of the tactics for our company, not the strategy, right? The strategy is something that is well known at Factor, but we have to stay accountable to that strategy. And we do that through the help of a tool called Asana, which Asana has. The free version is honestly amazing. I don't think we pay for Asana at Factor. There are some cool premium options with Asana. Definitely check it out, but the free version has been great for us. So inside Asana, we assign tasks, we set deadlines, we keep everything super organized. And it's especially valuable in a remote work setting because it, again, holds everyone accountable. So even if you're a solopreneur, though, a tool like Asana can really help you stay on top of your goals and see the big picture. And trust me, getting everything out of your head and into a system like this is so, so helpful. And again, helps you save time and maximize efficiency. So now let's address communication. I know a lot of companies will use a tool like Asana, and then also we saw the boom of Slack during COVID, and we still use Slack at Factor PR, and it's not just for messaging, but it's also about simplifying communication. And my favorite feature actually on Slack is not the DMs or the instant messaging. It's actually the huddle feature. So you can like get on a phone call with your teammates right away with this feature. And it's perfect for quick informal discussions that don't need a full-blown meeting. So for example, if a teammate has a question or we need to brainstorm on the fly, we'll just hop into a huddle, chat for 5 minutes, and get back to work. That said, we've also set clear boundaries for Slack use to avoid overwhelm because, again, efficiency only works if it doesn't encroach on personal time or heads down time, etc. too. So if you are heads down on a project or, you've got a deadline that's looming, I often encourage the team, and I'll do this myself, like set yourself to pause your notifications and so forth, because, Slack, anything instant in terms of instant communication, it can also be a bit of a distraction. So you have to be a little bit careful. But efficiency isn't just about work tools, it's also about personal productivity. And for me, no surprise, that also starts with wellness. Now, I am not paid to say this, but I am a huge fan of the Sweat app. I've gone back and forth with different, different apps and so forth to help me with my fitness journey. I also really, really like Melissa Wood Health's app as well. But what I really appreciate about the Sweat app is I stay really consistent with my morning workouts, and there's a lot of variety. So yoga, Pilates, strength training. I know that taking care of my body helps me show up as my best self. And exercise isn't just about fitness. It is about boosting focus, reducing stress, and increasing energy levels. So I schedule my workouts first thing in the morning after my kids are off to school. It's a non-negotiable for me. I work out 5 days a week. So highly recommend starting your day with some kind of movement or some kind of exercise in the morning. Another tool that I've recently started using that I absolutely love is called MeetGeek. It's an AI software that records meetings, takes notes, and distributes the follow-ups automatically. It has been, I know I keep saying this word, but it has been a game changer for staying present during our client discussions, especially because we're in meetings quite often, and it's hard to, as they say, talk and chew gum, so to speak. So, being able to like really thoughtfully listen to our clients or to our teammates while taking notes at the same time. I do still like to take notes. I feel like that energy is really important to like imprint information into my brain, but it's nice to not have to make sense of your notes, circulate them, as well as next steps afterwards with the client. MeetGeek takes care of all of that for you. And our clients have raved about how good it is. Like it's so on top of it that, I've had clients reach out and be like, did someone on your team who took these notes? Like, no, it's a robot actually. But you know what? I think we should all lean into AI where it makes sense. And I think that, having someone in the room to literally just take notes and send them around afterwards, no, we can use that time to be getting results for our clients to move the business forward instead of taking notes, right? I love MeetGeek. This has been my favorite note taker so far. For onboarding, so onboarding, if you are, a service-based industry, like the one that I am in, and I think the last stat that I read that over 70% of businesses are service-based, so this could be really good for you too. We use something called Dubsado. I'm still learning more about this platform, but for the most part, it streamlines everything from sending proposals to contracts to collecting payments from clients. So I really like this in tandem with QuickBooks that our accounting team uses. It also gives our clients access to a private portal where they can view documents like their contracts, their invoices. So I think that that's really nice that just to be able to go to one place, because I think that having a smooth onboarding process is not just about saving time, but it's also about building trust with the client, because when they see that everything is handled professionally and efficiently and quickly from day one, it sets the tone for a strong partnership. Even though we don't bill hourly, we track our time using a platform called Harvest. So, okay, even though we don't bill hourly, we still track our time using a program called Harvest. So why? I know that might seem kind of counterproductive, but tracking time gives us very important data, especially for me as the business owner. It shows me where our team's hours are going, and it helps me make informed decisions about where our team should spend their time as well too. So for example, if a particular task is taking too much time without yielding results, right? That happens sometimes, we can adjust. So think of it as like a food journal for your time, because you sometimes don't realize how you're spending your day until you measure it. Finally, I have to mention our Factor PR playbook. This is a living document where we've outlined every process from building media lists to handling tricky situations to creating social media calendars. I mean, literally, it is like the Bible of how to do absolutely everything at Factor PR. So I created this playbook about a year and a half ago. And again, it was like, it just like came over me at one point. I'm like, oh my gosh, we need a playbook. We had been in a very demanding hiring phase. And, you know, if you're in a business where you've got team, having to like always train the team, you know, it takes a lot of time and energy, but it's so important. You cannot skimp corners on training your team. But having something like a playbook is so helpful in documenting processes. We've got, you know, checklists in our playbook so that the team has something that they can refer to when they're checking their work. We've got policies, procedures, templates for influencer contracts, you know, pretty much everything that you might need working at Factor PR in terms of like the quote unquote how we do it here, is in the playbook. And what's great about the playbook is, you know, if you're someone who don't have one, it's okay. You can start small and just document as you go. You know, kind of building what some of these common tasks are and inserting it into the playbook. So as a business owner, if I notice, you know, hey, I keep getting asked the same questions over and over again, or if my account supervisor also, you know, keeps getting asked the same questions, there's confusion around something. This to me is it's not even a red flag. It's just like an opportunity to help empower the team by documenting this, you know, kind of once and for all, and putting it in the playbook and alerting the team when a new document is in the playbook. So we'll often schedule meetings around, hey, new playbook resource, you know, let's talk about this new process or an adjusted process or something along those lines. I use a program called Loom. You may have heard of it before, where you can, you know, kind of record your screen if it's something like that. Again, I think a playbook and leveraging also other tools like a Loom to be able to compile the information in your playbook is so helpful, especially if you are a remote business or you work from home. But even if you don't as well, it's just a really nice tool in the toolbox that we have. So it's nice too, because sometimes, you know, as business owners as well, sometimes we have trouble taking off work or whatever that might look like. And it's just really helpful to have a one-stop shop document that if you are unavailable, there's a place to go when you have questions, right? So highly recommend taking the time to at least get some sort of playbook started. Does not have to be fancy. Ours is literally in like a Google document, you know, and it's just been so helpful. It saves time. It ensures consistency. It evolves as our agency evolves and grows as well too. One of our sayings here at Factor PR, actually learned this from our HR company about a year ago, is clear is kind. When we are clear in our communications, it is kind for the rest of the team because they don't have to figure out what we mean, right? And a playbook is instrumental in clarity. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by everything we've covered today, don't worry. These are just some of the things that have worked for me. There's probably more as well. I'll think about it for a future episode. But start small, right? Like just kind of think about, you know, what sort of things that you can change today that might make your life easier and more efficient in your business, you know, and a lot of these tools that I mentioned don't really cost much, if anything at all. So give it a shot, even just something as simple as avoiding context switching by changing up your calendar to bookend all of your meetings back to back so that you can have more desk time or whatever that looks like, can be absolutely a game changer for your business. So here's my challenge for you. Take 5 minutes after this episode to reflect on your time management habits. What is working, what's not working, and what is one thing that you can change this week to maximize your time? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them with me on Instagram at Grow Your Wealth Podcast. And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a fellow entrepreneur who might need it. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and making time for what matters most. I'll see you next week on Grow Your Wealth. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode deposited some useful advice and insights to help you grow your wealth. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future conversations. You can find more resources, episode details, and updates at growyourwealthpodcast.com. And let's keep the conversation going on Instagram. Follow me at Grow Your Wealth Podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or takeaway from today's show. Until next time, remember, burnout is optional. Take care, and I'll see you next week.